I am. Hello, everyone. And I'm going to start us off in a weird way. So today, what I am doing is that I'm doing this for the first time by myself through StreamYard. And so, because Kevin had something else to do, but this is a song that called to me to do for you guys. And I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to play just a corner of it because it's going to create part of this conversation I want to have today. So I want to welcome everybody to Life Clarifications with Natasha Venter. And obviously, we don't have the beginning here like I normally do. But at the same time, though, there's a part of me that is called to do this. And I'm one that's a medium, and I am a personal awareness coach who's very intuitive. So I'm going to sing, and this is Shine Down, who sings this song.
You can have a sound of 1,000 voices calling your name. You can have the light of the world blind you, bathe you in grace. But I don't see so easily what you hold in your hands. 'Cause castles crumble, kingdoms fall and turn into sand. You can be an angel of mercy or give in to hate. You can try to fight it just like every other careless mistake. How do you justify? I'm mystified by the ways of your heart. With a million lies, the truth will rise to tear you apart. Oh, no one gets out alive. Every day is till I die. One thing you need. How did you know? How did you know? It's not what you believe. Those words will make you bleed. But while you're on your knees, how did you know? How did you know? How did you know?
Okay, so that is Shine Down. And I want to let everyone know that me being here today by myself, please put comments in because I would love to have a conversation. And those conversations will be where I can add in some help. So if you're needing something, if you're wanting something, add in a conversation. I can see it both on YouTube and both on Facebook. That's the amazing thing of StreamYard. So with this, I feel like that we're all kind of in this crossroads. And I've lived this today myself. And I did actually a newsletter on this about making slip ups. But I wanted to go with a little bit of different conversation here about this. And it's called making mistakes. Oh man, isn't life full of them? But yet we're so hard on ourselves. So hard on ourselves. And that's why I wanted to play this song at the beginning. How do you love? But I want to get on to how do you love yourself? So with that many of us are making mistakes. Me, today, I can count probably on one hand, 5, 7, somewhere in there, of mistakes that actually 4 of them really were impactful for the people around me. And I would say that there are mistakes because I can see the ripple effect that what I said had a ripple effect. And that mistake was not taking the full moment to take a breath before I said something. I just kind of walked in and I should have just stopped for a minute, took a breath, and just analyzed it. But I didn't. Oh, but then that caused the ripple effect. And yes, I did right by saying, this is a learning experience for me. I'm doing better. I'm navigating this. And as we all do something at some point in our time in our lives that kind of just say, oh, wait a minute, what am I doing? What should I be doing? And I'm going to check to make sure I'm live here. That because it's my first time, that as we're doing things and as we're navigating through things, that we're not always in the better when we're here. And so, we're all going to be making mistakes. Yet at the same time, we pick up something and we hit ourselves with it. Why do we do that? Why do we punish ourselves for every little thing that we do that's wrong? Well, we grow up thinking, oh, do I have to be perfect? Do I have to be this? Do I have to be that? Do I have to navigate this in the better way? Well, no, we don't always have those tools. And so with that trusting this moment, and I'm going to repeat again, I would love conversation, being here by myself, that this is a conversation to have because we all have different perceptions on making mistakes. Why do we make mistakes? Well, being human is part of it. Working with others with different perceptions, that's another part of it. Dealing with a truth, a truth that may not be right, a truth that may not be wrong, but a truth that is different than others. And then at the same time, it's that, you know, example would be as if we're making dinner and the person who we're making dinner for with, because sometimes it's with, that we get somebody who doesn't want to eat it. Well, and then we feel like rum-a-dum because of that moment where it's like, well, I should have done different. I should have known different. I should have been different. I should have. Well, take that shoulda and whip it off the head because it's like, what could we have done different? Well, if we didn't have other information, how could we made a different decision? And those are just moments where we're just kind of trying to do the better that we can. And life is so interesting. And then we do it. And as we're doing things, oh yay, I made it. I just noticed that I'm live on Facebook and Instagram and my YouTube channel. Congratulations to me. That as we're working through things, we're always going to make mistakes. Always. And, we're coming out of being kind of closed down for a year. And I know, like my kid who worked in the grocery store, he was never closed down. My other kid who, worked in, the same store was never really closed down. In our schools, we weren't really closed down. There's some people who lost jobs. There's all these things that have happened, yet at the same time, though, many of us have not had the practice of going back out. And I'm going to tell you that me and my other job that I have, which, even though I was doing school this whole time, sometimes it was in school, sometimes it was remote, sometimes it was both hybrid and remote. So there was a variance, and now I'm in school full time, 5 days a week. And I can tell that a lot of us are just worn out. That when we get worn out, we start making more foibles and more mistakes. And, we just had the full moon, super moon on Monday. And, after a full moon, I always call it the full moon hangover. And when we have those moments where we have the planets doing something, we have like Pluto is going to be going into retrograde. So Pluto going into retrograde, from what my astrologer was saying, Janet Hickox, who was on my show the other day, that she was saying that this is about going through those little backwards things that we do that we can punish ourselves for. Well, what am I talking about today? Mistakes. And so with that as we make mistakes and as we're going through things, it's a learning process. So today, and I'm going to use myself an example. So today, as I was making my mistake, I was being the observer of myself going, oh crap, what am I saying? Okay. So then at a moment when I noticed, okay, wait a minute. And I apologized. I said, okay, I could have handled this different. And then I tried to clarify, this is what we're doing, is that sometimes things are happening and we just need to make sure that this person is taken care of, this person's taken care of, that's taken care of, this is taken care of. And I can still see where I could have done a little different. And tomorrow is a new day, so I'm going to go in and finalize some of this situation because it's a learning experience for all of us. And I'm taking that as the first step, that I am learning something to do different right now, and I appreciate us having grace for each other. And when we're working through things and as we're doing things, life happens. And then we kind of go in observation, or we go in, oh, that happened, didn't it? You know, we're all having these moments where life happens and then we do it. Perfectly imperfect. I love that mantra, perfectly imperfect. I'm perfectly imperfect doing this life of mine because as I walk, I'm learning to do. And I know many of us are learning to be around others again. Many of us are learning how to step out of our own comfort zone, which was our home, which our energy was pretty safe. And then we're learning to navigate through having other people learn those experiences. Trust that as we go and as we go forward, that those learning experiences are going to be helpful for us. And as Archangel Michael says, and I hope somebody can watch, that Michael movie that John Travolta says, because that is totally Michael. I think John Travolta channeled Archangel Michael in that movie because he is kind of I don't want to call it a renegade, but he'll call himself a renegade, won't you, Michael? But and as he's talking to me, he's like, that's, guys, what we're here to do as humans. Well, not us. He's saying, well, you guys, because that's part of making life, is that mistakishness. And if you notice, I'm starting to change words and I'm adding some prefixes and suffixes on it. I've been teaching kids prefixes and suffixes because it does change a word. And so I'm kind of making up my own word because that's called life. Life is about moments. And as we go and as we do, I hope you know that we can take down the metaphorical stick that we keep hitting ourselves with, to know that being perfectly imperfect is part of this dance. And like I had that song on the front, if anybody wants to listen to it, I know I like rock. Not everybody likes rock. Shine Down, this is one of their better, mid beat songs. How Do You Love? And that's the song, How Do You Love? That it goes about how do we love ourselves and our our other man, the fellow man, there's what I was trying to say, the fellow man, to know how can we make mistakes. Many of us are really angry with others when they make mistakes, but we forget that we make mistakes. That's what this whole COVID scenario was, plus many other things, was about learning our own truth. But when we walk the truth of our parents or our siblings or our grandparents or our friends, because we hung out with them more than we did our family and their families, that we start picking up these other people's truths. Perfectionism, judgmentalism, uh, you know, uh, needing to be rightism. What's another ism? There's all these different things that come about, and it's amazing how, as we walk and as we talk, that those truths start coming out. And I can tell you that as we walk and as we do things, that finding the truth that says, how can I be kinder, will help in this situation. And knowing that. So going back to my situation today, that I really worked on being kind, not worked on, because that's who I try to be, is kind anyways. Okay, here I am. I'm sorry that I said what I said. If I said anything wrong, this is just about boundaries. This is about trying to make sure that people know that things are happening. And I apologize if I stepped in and said something out of angst or that kind of thing. And I apologize. And kindness to ourselves. How do we love? Kindness to others. How do we love? Kindness to the energy around us. How do we love? Can really make a difference in patching up the scenarios around us. I know a lot of us have a hard time admitting we're doing wrong. I'm going to pause with that for a minute. Many of us have a hard time admitting when we've done wrong. Now, I wouldn't say that doing wrong that's all perception. But like I said, though, me observing the situation and seeing the ripple effect around me, I know that there was a wrongness done. How can I fix that and own it and claim it? I know that there's arguments between siblings, arguments between loved ones, arguments between partners, and many of us forget that there's two sides to every story and every perception and every truth. And there's these moments where we just kind of go, okay, here I am. This is what I'm doing. This is what we're going to do. That there's these moments that happen. And if you notice, like I just kind of felt like my collar was up, so I was fixing something, and then my earbuds fell out. But did you see how I just moved with it and rolled with it? The things happen around us. We can't put the beaten stick and hit ourselves. It's just, I hope that if anything, that we can all be a little bit kinder. And please, like I said, I'm here by myself. Kevin's not here. Conversation, little moments of just little blibbits that you want to put in the comments. I would be so grateful to see, because there's these moments where I would love to support somebody in this. And like I did my newsletter about making slip ups. And I had about 4 emails come back saying, thank you for this. Because it is about these moments of just, why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing it because I'm human. So with that when we are here in Earth, some people call this our personal hell, but it's not really. It's just, we got to take those moments. And if you noticed at the beginning of this video that as the song was on, it's got that beat. I love songs with beat. Dun, and if you notice, I couldn't help but start moving. So if you can, when life is happening to us, to you, to thyself, that we can take something that brings us up. And I know that is one of my go-to songs. That no matter what is happening around me, the story is, how do I love? And that is my greatest wish to do, is to help others know about love. And maybe that's just being observant of myself to walk differently. We don't always have those tools. We don't always have the ability because we haven't learned better to do better. But practice makes better. Practice does make better. We have these moments where life is happening and, we're just not able to navigate through the scenario of life. What can we do to do different? What can we do to be kinder to ourselves? What can we do? How can we practice that? Well, for one, when we're walking forward in life, kind of like me today, it's about saying, okay, I did something that I could have done a little different. That's one way to be kinder to self. It's that I could have done a little different. Yeah. Did I beat myself up? Yeah, there's a little bit of self-observation, but no, I didn't really beat myself up. When we're learning something, it is about breathing. It is about observation. It is about, okay, tomorrow I'll do different because I know different. Life is always going to make us make spontaneous decisions, do spontaneous actions, do spontaneous movements, do spontaneous interactions, spontaneous reactions, spontaneous reactions. So as we walk and as we work through things, remember that the humanness that we are is about movement. It's about going someplace. It's about shifting that perception a little bit to navigating to our greater good. We all have something to do in these moments. Many of us are multitasking. Many of us are stepping out of our comfort zone. Many of us are navigating through some very hard situations. Just in the last couple of days, I've heard of people breaking up relationships, people passing away, uh, animals having to be passed away, all these different things that are going on. And, when we're taxed like that, that's part of the, oh, hmm, okay, hmm, I'm a little tired. I'm a little wrung out. I always kind of pictured when we go through a life-altering experience, I feel like I'm like a wash rag, an old wash rag. I used to have some wash rags that my mom used to have. She's been gone over 20 years, so they're pretty tattered, pretty torn. And I feel like that I have these old wash rags, get them wet, scrunch them up, and then I throw it, and then it's like being thrown against the window. So I'm the metaphorical wash rag that's all wrung out, getting thrown against the wall, taken back out, stretched back out, crunched back in again, thrown against the wall, pulled back, stretched back out again. When we feel like that and we're tired and we're wrung out, it's really hard to do right. So as we walk and as we talk, just know that we're all going to be making mistakes. We're all going to be perfectly imperfect. We're all going to be in these moments of hellishness that is self-perceived, but yet in the moment, it's almost hard not to feel that way to work. And oops, I was going to do that finger in the first place. So as this says, believe in the moment that we can do different. As parents, we're always doing something wrong. We're always. We're always doing something wrong because the kid has a different perception than us. And so we start out life feeling that way, that we're doing something wrong, because as a kid we feel like we're doing something wrong. As an adult we feel like we're doing something wrong. As a grandparent we feel like we're doing something wrong. It's called life. So believe in yourself. Believe that life can be different. Believe that there is these interactions that are going to go forward. We're never going to be perfect. I hate to break the ice on that one. We're never going to be perfect. And if you find someone that is very perfect, they're actually probably more imperfect once you get to know them, because they're covering up everything so much that they're never living in happiness. They're never living in joy. They're never living in these moments of all these things that are just ugh. So knowing that as we work and as we talk, trust that you're safe, that you're going to be okay, that life is about making mistakes. Life is about feeling inadequate. There's even times of feeling shame. Ugh. The more quicker we can get out of that, the better, because shame is just something that we inflict on ourselves. Or someone else will shame us into feeling like we should be doing something. I know as a parent, sometimes I kind of slipped into that, unrecognizing it, and then realized it later and went, oh, should have done a little different there. Okay, now I can go and talk about that. This is a moment when I felt like I was talking to you and about shaming you into doing something, and I apologize for that. I really want you to go, and if I did it in a backwards way, I apologize. I'll try to do different next time. There's those moments of life about living, about doing, and knowing that we can do something better by learning from it. And that is why we make mistakes. So we can learn to do different. We can learn to do better. We can learn to be who we are. And so I am feeling like these cards again want to come out. So these cards are Claudette Baron-Reid's Wisdom of the Avalon cards. And I love these cards because, you know, like there's these cards that have the same path, the same picture, yet they're always different words. So we can always be walking the same path, but somebody might have a different perception about what it is. And I love that definition of these cards. So if anybody has a question or anybody wants to make a comment, I would love to hear something, because there is these moments where we can always learn from doing something different. So I'm going to ask the question, how can we navigate? I like that word navigate. I always think of the word navigate. You know, I'm going to do a sideline here. Navigate. Navigate. So navigation came from the ocean, right? Navigation came from the captain having to navigate the waters. So navigation, navigating, many of them are going through very small canals, and they need to have spotters to see if they can go through these canals. Kind of like the big channel that's Panama Canal. There we go. So the Panama Canal, you know, they got those big channels that are coming that they go, you need spotters around. So we don't walk up at life by ourselves. But navigating life is an interesting ride if we think about in a boat. So we have our guides, we have our knowings, we have our doings, we have our tryings, and practice makes better. So just try practicing navigating through your life with maybe just shifting the perception just a little bit to put down the stick. Okay, so I'm going to continue shuffling my cards here. And this is about making mistakes, about making those moments, making those troubles, making life a little bit easier for us. Okay, as I shuffle these cards. Okay, they're saying stop. I'm hearing they is my team, my guides, and they help me with this. Okay. So the first card is Swan. The Swan. So that is transformation, trusting the physical gift or the psychic gifts. So with that we have these inner voices that speak to us. those inner voices. So they can either be positive or negative. So those negative ones that tell us that you made a mistake, you're are the ones that are no good for us. Trust the ones that say, oh, maybe you can go just say, I'm sorry. I'll try to do better next time. But the swan, we're transforming from the ugly duckling into a beautiful being. This transformation is not at all overnight. Doesn't the swan, the young one, need to mature into being the beautiful swan? Well, we all take time to grow and mature. And so that's part of making mistakes. Did we learn to walk the first time we tried? No, we fell on our behindies. Did we do right the first time we started driving? No. We had to learn sometimes in a parking lot to learn how to put on the brake, how to learn how to push on the gas. So it was a gradual thing instead of a heat. It's all part of life. So the swan, which is the number 12 equals a 3. 3 is about just coming together. It's about coming together. The Grail Knight, romance, illusion, seeking the sacred. So what is he doing? He's kneeling. He is in a moment of contemplation. Contemplation. It's not about, reaction. It's about contemplation. So in that contemplation, knowing that as we work through things and as we go through things, life can be a little bit different and a little bit better. So trusting these moments, trusting what we can do. Okay? And the romance, it's about being romantic with ourselves, about that kindness, about how do we love at that first song? How do we love? How do we have that grace with ourselves? Romance is about grace. It's about kindness. It's about fluidity. So how can we have that romance? Is he kneeling in punishment? He's standing in breath, kneeling in breath. So he's being at peace. He's giving over a gift of, please be at peace with me. And I apologize. And this card is a 6. 6 is about home, about being together with ourselves, home. As I'm drawn to the end of the deck here. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Isn't that a tricky, isn't forgiveness a tricky thing? Forgiveness. What does forgiveness really mean? Forgiveness. Well, it means that there's something that happened that causes us to either be hurt, shamed, better than, done wronged to. There's many more words I can put onto being wronged to. Rape, somebody killing a friend of ours, somebody harming something of us, somebody saying something wrong to us. Many of us have a hard time forgiving, and I wouldn't say that it's not always it's not always us. Sometimes it's like if you get an astrology reading done of yourself, sometimes it's in our planets that we have a hard time with that. How do we manage that? So forgiveness. Forgiveness starts with kindness. Kindness and seeing another perception. Doesn't mean that we have to live with that perception. It doesn't mean that we have to go into that perception. But it's about just putting our foot, stepping into it just a little bit. Did I get out of my seat? No, but did I kind of shift how I was sitting? Getting into a different perception to see maybe there's a little piece of this that could have been done different. So forgiveness. We're not always in the better place to do the right thing. Forgiveness doesn't say that it will be okay or what you did to me is okay. It just means I'm ready to move on. So I'm going to give an example. My husband, with his alcoholism for most of my marriage, he was not a happy drunk. He was depressed and he was angry a lot of times, and life wasn't going his way because he was a perfectionist. I cannot necessarily leave what happened behind. It's something that happened. I will never go back there. I will never allow my life to go back there. But I had to forgive those moments to say, my husband, the man I'm with, is starting to shift. He's starting to change. I cannot hold him where he was. I can only hold him where we are. So I had to forgive the moments things happened, not necessarily let go of the lesson those experiences taught me. It's a very tricky fine line. But I can tell you, though, forgiving those moments of that this person is shifting and changing can help the whole relationship move forward. And that can be in the moment where we said something wrong and we're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Can you forgive me? And the person is like, there's that moment where it's hard to forgive sometimes, but we can say, let's move forward. Let's move forward. Maybe I can't forgive you, but let's move forward. So trusting these moments, doing these things. And remember here, I'm here by myself. So if you have a comment about anything, please put it in the comment section because I would love to help someone through these things. So forgiveness. Remember, it's not about forgetting. It's about moving forward. So 4 plus 9 is 13 and 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 is one of those numbers that I have a hard time remembering, and I apologize. But 4 is about that creativeness, about moving forward, I'm hearing. So sometimes we have to be creative about how we have forgiveness for the situation. I'm not going to say forgive for the person, forgiveness for the situation. Okay. So Queen came up next. The Queen. Woman, fertility, feminine power, sexuality, and friendships. So she's sitting there. She has someone playing music for her, being the queen. She's sitting on a throne. She has that empowerment. But do you see on her face, is she mean? Is she hurtful? She's strong. So moving forward through things, as we try to work through a lot of our emotions of forgiveness and things, remember about being empowered. That, like today with my thing, I never stepped out of my empowerment, but I stepped into kindness. So I never stepped back in who I was, but I said, I was a little bit vulnerable and said, yeah, I could have done it differently. And I was hoping that everybody kind of would forgive. Because we have protection. We have protection. We have protection because we've got guides. We have witnesses. We have these beings. And like I had a moment last night where I had a wolf who looked me dead in the eyes last night. I wonder what he was there for. Well, I know now. He was going to give me strength to walk through my day to day, to have an overview of what to do, where to go, what to be, what to navigate through. So protection, knowing that as we walk through life, that having the swan, having the Grail Knight, being in the moment, having forgiveness, being the queen, we have protection through it all because we're strong, we're being. Vulnerability doesn't mean that it's about weakness. Vulnerability is about being kind and being in the moment of letting life move around us. Did I want to hold on to my situation so tight that it couldn't have flexibility? No. But as we walk and as we do things, just know that life happens and then we do it. And how can we move through that? By letting life move through. Because it takes a risk. It takes risk to have forgiveness. It takes risk to be the beautiful swan again. It takes risk to be calm and in the moment. It takes risk to have forgiveness. It takes risk to be empowered as someone who can be who they are. It also takes risk to trust the protection that we have. But if you notice, like I said, that risk, protection, and forgiveness all have the same path. So what are we going to do as we walk? And here's the 4 again. So I should look up what a 4 means. So give me a second as I look up that number 4. So I don't always know things, but I'm willing to learn things. So the number 4 means number 4 meaning of justice and stability that you need to keep your life. This number also represents the loyalty, patience, wisdom, and trust. Number 4 may also symbolize your aspirations and passions that you have. So number 4 is a symbol of honesty and loyalty as well. So with that as we walk through life and we have the honesty and the loyalty of who we are, we're going to be able to manipulate things a little bit better. We're going to navigate things a little bit better. Manipulation, listen, I'm an only child and I know how to manipulate things, but I always try to take the perception that somebody else has to do the work or somebody else has to do the thing. And so with that, manipulation for the greater good. Manipulation for the greater good. And as we do things and as we go through things, life is going to happen. So I'm going to pull one more card. Oh, I heard the top card. We'll find joy. Joy is the moment where we walk forward. Joy is a feeling of, okay, I did something more better than not. So with that as we walk and as we go forth, we can find some joyfulness when we clean up those mistakes that we make. And I know mistakes are, I'm going to repeat this again, are a perception, somebody else's perception, or our own perception. So if somebody else is saying we're making a mistake, well, okay, yeah, if it's a boss, I could have maybe done different. I understand. I could have done different. I apologize. I'll know better to do better next time. A sibling or a mate, like my husband or a wife or a partner, that their perception, for me, like if, making a wrong dinner, how can we have that perception that I did something wrong when I didn't know that I had to do something different? So there's that tricky thing again. So watch how we are being perceived as, is it my mistake or is it just a mistake? Hmm, there's something tricky. Is it my mistake or is it a mistake? A mistake done that I didn't have information to do different and somebody else had a different perception. There's that space in between that's called a mistake. Sometimes we can't take responsibility for that. We can take reaction, we can take vibrational repercussion, whatever that word is, that's going on. But yet at the same time, it's about being in that moment, doing the work that's because we're never going to be better. We're never going to be our happier, joyful self unless we're willing to be flexible, navigate through life, trust the process, and doing what we can do. Trust yourself. You are loved. You are a being of moments of life. And, that's the thing. When I talk to loved ones that have crossed over, they have a different perception of, oh, that's what I was supposed to learn in this lifetime, wasn't it? Ouch. Okay, I could have done different, but I know better now, and now I'll support that person on this other side. So as we work and as we do things, know that when we're done with this life, we will have a different perception. But when we're here, sometimes all we are is like a horse with blinders on, doing the work that we can do. Trust these processes. Life is going to do and life is going to be. All we can do is keep walking forward and know that in this next moment, in this next day, in these next abilities of life, that we will know to do different. But please remember that, as life gets hard, life gets interesting, and we want to take that and self punish ourselves. It's not really worth that. It is worth saying, okay, how can I have done different? How could I have done different? Willingness to do that is going to be your greatest gift because that is part of taking the risk of life, taking the Grail Nights moment of taking a breath and shifting things as they go. Because we cannot always be the beautiful swan unless we go through the learnings that we're not ugly as we grow. So if there's any last minute comments, I'm going to be willing to answer any questions. But I just want everybody to know that as we wait, that, life is going to be ups and downs. Life is going to be troublesome moments. Life is going to have us being uncomfortable walking around people again, uncomfortable about doing actions that we used to know how to do, but we really don't know how to do anymore. So trusting those moments and being in those moments, that as we walk and as we work and as we do, that life is going to be something. Trust it. You are meant to be perfectly imperfect, learning to do the better we can. So believe that this next moment, you might find that life is a little different. So try loving yourself. As that song was at the beginning, that as we do this and as we do that, that we can always be who we are. We can always do what we are going to do. And as I'm going to try to go back, I guess it wasn't up. Well, because it's not going to play where I was. So I was going to finish the song for you as I went out. We can be where we are if we just navigate a little bit better for ourselves. which is being kind. Being kind, finding love. How do you love? How do you love yourself? How do you love others? How do you love those moments of life? How do we love? How do we just navigate through knowing that we're all learning something? And as we navigate this, I'm going to go out with finishing the song off. And this is Shinedown's How Do You Love? And I hope that they apologize or they appreciate me playing their song in the moment where we can all learn to do different for ourselves. So if you need any help working through your life, please know that you can reach out to me at Natasha at Angelic Clarifications or angelicclarifications.com. Have blessings in your life, and please know this next moment, life can be totally different for you. Yourself. How did you love yourself? Blessings to you. Blessings to who you are. Blessings to everything that you're going through. To trust who you are. Love is going to make a difference for yourself and for others. Blessings, Natasha at angelicclarifications.com.